Hello and welcome back to my channel Under the Avo Tree. My name is Aoife and today we're going to go through a breakdown of Warrior 1, 2 and 3. So this will be a great video for you if you are a beginner for yoga or if you just want to come back to the more basics if you've been practicing for a while. But especially if you're a beginner and you're going to open level classes in a studio or just taking classes like this on YouTube, and you just want to spend a bit more time, maybe you feel like, oh yeah, I get the gist of it, but not totally sure I'm doing it right. This would be a great video just to get those details down and feel confident in your poses when you're practicing them through in the middle of a class. So we're just going to get straight into it. So we're going to start at the top of our mat. We're going to do Warrior 1 first. So you're going to start at the top of your mat in tadasana, mountain pose. I'm going to step back with our right leg as far as you can. Not overstretching it now, just stepping it back. And you're keeping the left toes pointing straight ahead. Your back foot is at about a 45-degree angle. So it's kind of pointing beyond the top right corner of your mat. And then you're squaring the hips to your top of your mat. So you can take the hands onto the hips here to feel that. So if you notice here, my hips are more open to the side. And I'm going to pull the right hip forward, pull the left hip back. So it's like if you think of the hip joints, there's a straight line going through them. That's parallel to the top, the short edge of your mat. So from here, just strong in the belly button, your shoulders are stacked over your hips, then you can bend into the front knee. You're keeping that back heel on the mat. Then you can lift the hands up, taking them to prayer. So this is the traditional version of the pose with the hands together in Hatha Yoga. So you're bending in that front knee with the knee stacked over the ankle. So you don't want the knee passing out, and you don't want it back here. So you're trying to get it stacked over. If you are passing out, you might need to walk out that front foot. And if you're finding out your back here, maybe you just need to sink a bit further forward with the hips or just adjust your stance so that you can get the knee over the ankle. So in our Warrior 1, we're breathing here. You usually take maybe 5 rounds of breath. You're pressing the front foot into the mat and the back foot into the mat. And now if you feel like this is not working for you with the shoulders, sometimes, we're not used to these kind of motions with our arms and our shoulders. So it might be a bit tight and not really feel like it's a good motion for you. So you can take the hands wide if that's the case. So either shoulder width or a bit wider, palms facing each other. Or you could take the hands down onto the hips, keeping them there, or have them in prayer, the thumb just resting on the sternum. So any of those versions are great if you just feel like it's overworking the shoulders rather than creating an opening across the shoulders. So in our Warrior 1, with the hands together or the hands like this, we're creating a space across the chest. So it allows you to breathe a bit deeper. The thing is, this pose is quite an intense pose. So if you're new to yoga, you might not feel like you're breathing deeper. You might feel like you're working really hard and the heart rate is going up. The breath is getting a bit quicker. So that's fine. With time, it will create that ability to breathe a bit slower and a bit deeper. So we'll just step forward to go on to the other side. So we're going to step back with the left leg now. Again, your back foot is at a 45-degree angle. The front toes are pointing straight ahead. Taking the hands on the hips just to level off the left and right hip so they're in line with each other and parallel to the top line of the mat. They're going to bend into that front knee. So again, you can choose whether you have the hands together above the head, having them wide, having them on the hips, or in prayer. For any of those versions, you have your back heel on the mat, you're pressing the back foot into the mat, even maybe trying to sense a bit more into the back edge of the back foot, and you might feel a back leg then engages, switches on a bit more. And checking that you're also pressing into the front foot. So in this pose, we're really strengthening the quads. We're also getting a stretch in the back leg, so we're building strength throughout both legs. But the longer you're here, the more you might feel a bit of a burn start to happen in that front quad. Just noticing how you find the pose. As well, you might find you can't get the hips to level off, and that is fine. Eventually with time, as you continue your practice, you'll be able to get there. If you find it's really tricky, you can come onto the ball of the back foot and just turn it into a high lunge to get that leveling off of the hips, to get you kind of more comfortable with the stance, and eventually with time, maybe taking the heel onto the mat. Also, if you're finding it quite challenging, you can just shorten the stance, so bring the back foot in a little bit. Sometimes people find it really intense on the back leg, so this would be a good idea to do if it's really stretching that back leg and just feels like it's beyond a good stretch. And then you can bend into the front knee, take your hands whichever way you want. And then once you're finished, you can step that left foot forward, going back to your mountain pose. So that is our Warrior 1 or Virabhadrasana 1. We'll go into Warrior 2 next. So you're stepping back with the right leg. This time, you're putting that back foot either parallel to the back edge of your mat, or you're turning the toes in ever so slightly. You're still pointing forward with that top, or the front leg, the left leg in this case. And you can choose yourself just whatever feels most comfortable, really, if you have the heels in line, or you can take the front heel and have it in line with the center of the back foot. So I like to have my heels in line generally, but it's up to you. Kind of play, see which works better for you. So in this case, we're having the hips open to the long edge of the mat. So in our Warrior 1, our hips were square to the top of the mat, and now we're opening them to the long edge of the mat. So this is part of the pose. The benefit of it is you're getting that hip opening motion and stretch. And then with your body facing the long edge of the mat, your shoulders are over the hips. You're going to bend into that front knee so it stacks over the ankle, and you can float the hands up so they're in line with the shoulders. You can take the fingers together and then look over the front hand. It can be a good idea just to look back to check. Sometimes we think our arm is way up and it's way down, or it's way up. So just taking a look back, checking it's in line with the shoulder. And you're gazing straight over the index finger, or the middle finger, sorry. And again, the same with the knee over the ankle. You want it stacked over the ankle, not pushing forward and not drawn back. You're breathing here. Again, we hold the pose for about 5 breaths. Once again, we're building strength in the legs, the leg muscles. We're also stretching the hamstrings and the calves. We're also building strength in toning the abs and the abdominal organs. Just do one more breath here. Then you can relax the arms down and step that right leg forward, coming back to the top of your mat. We'll do it on the opposite side. So I'm just going to change direction so I'm not having my back to you. So this time, what did I step forward? Left foot? Yeah. Stepping back with the left foot this time because we stepped back with the right foot last time. We're going to have, again, you just choose whether your heels are in line or the front heel is in line with the back center of the foot. You're bending into that front knee. You're opening up the hips to the long edge of the mat. Shoulders are stacked over hips. Float the hands up, gazing over that index finger. With the middle finger, I keep saying index finger. And then again, checking it with the knee. Yes, we've got it stacked over the ankle, but just trying to sense into the outside edge of the knee. I'm trying to pull it out towards that baby toe side of the foot. So you're not having the knee drop in towards the center line or the big toe. So you're trying to pull it out, and you'll feel that kind of switches on the glute, and you'll feel it in the inner groin as well. And in this pose, you might be able to notice kind of like an emotion or feeling. So it might be different for everybody. Like for me, I feel quite strong. I feel proud. I feel kind of like I am focused as I look over that middle finger. Kind of focused on being able to do whatever it is that I want to do. So you might just tune into yourself, into your body, how it's feeling when you're holding this pose. We'll do one more inhale. As you exhale, you can relax the arms, relax the leg, and step that left foot forward. So we're going to go into our Warrior 3 now. So this is the most advanced pose I say in terms of difficulty, warrior 2 is the easiest, then warrior 1, kind of a notch above that, and then warrior 3 would be the most challenging out of them all. So with warrior 3, it's kind of like a continuation of warrior 1. So we're going to start off in our warrior 1 and step back with the right leg. Your hips are square to the top of the mat, and if this doesn't work for you, you can come into a high lunge, so come onto the ball of the back foot. You're going to bend into that front knee, and you can reach the hands up. Again, if that's not working for your shoulders, you can take the hands to prayer. So in our warrior 1, we're going to start to reach the chest forward. So you're kind of hinging from the hips here, reaching the chest forward until it's either resting on that left thigh or floating above it. I'm just going to move back a little bit so you can, I'm not going to fall into the couch. And then with your chest or belly resting or hovering above that thigh, you're going to start to move the weight into that front leg. And then you'll be bringing all of your weight into that front leg, so you're just resting the big toe on the back of the mat. And then driving that left foot into the mat, you can start to lift the back leg as you straighten that left leg. And you're looking down to the mat, but like a little bit above, maybe towards the top of the mat, a bit above your direct eye line. And you're trying to reach that right heel back. The foot is flexed, as if you're stepping onto the wall behind you. You're trying to have a parallel straight line from fingertips to that heel to the mat. And then to come out of it, we're bending into that left knee, slowly lowering the right foot onto the mat, coming back to your high lunge or your warrior 1, and you can step back to the top of your mat. So we'll do the other side as well. With this pose, like if that is far too much for you or you're worried about your balance, you can get a wall in front of, or place yourself in front of a wall. So when you're coming into the pose, you can reach the hands forward to hold onto the wall to give you that support. You can also, I don't have any yoga blocks with me, but if you have yoga blocks, you can place them either side, not in either side of the foot, probably like a foot in front of your foot and either side for the hands to rest on. So you can have the hands resting on the mat or resting on the blocks as you come into the pose. So it just gives you that kind of support as you're kind of building your strength and building your confidence in it. So we'll go to the other side. We'll step back with the left leg this time. Coming into our warrior 1. Let's move myself back. Taking your hands, either prayer, hips coming into warrior 3, probably not the best idea, so we'll say prayer or arms up overhead. Bending in that front knee and start to reach the chest forward. Looking down to the mat, a bit above your direct eye line down. And then start to reach the fingertips forward, so you're bringing the weight into that right leg, going onto the baby toe of the back foot, and then start to float it up. And it might be that you just kind of lift your toe a little bit, kind of testing it out before you can lift it all the way up. You can also have your hands in prayer. If you need to, you can also bend that front knee a little bit. You might find it helps your balance if you're very wobbly. You're reaching forward through the crown of the head, reaching back through that back heel. Let's do one more inhale. Exhale, start to bend that front knee, slowly lower the back toes, the back heel onto the mat, coming back to your warrior 1, stepping back to the top of your mat. So that warrior 3, as you can tell, is definitely a bit more intense than warrior 1 and 2. You're really building strength in the leg, you're building it in the glute as well, you'll feel them working. You're also working on your balance because we're on the one leg, but we're also, like other balancing poses, we're often like in tree or big finger to big toe pose or hand to big toe. We're looking forward, whereas this we're down at the ground. So you're kind of challenging your balance also just dimensionally because you don't have that point in front of you. You're not standing up. So it's just kind of your spatial awareness also gets challenged. We're also switching on the abs. So as we're balancing, the abs are turned on, you're working your core. And you also get to, as you build your confidence in it, when you're standing in your warrior three, you get that sense of achievement, but also you get that sense of harmony, balance, peace. When you have worked towards this pose and you're able to hold it, there's something very calming, but like a centered strongness to it. So also just tuning into yourself when you're in this pose and seeing kind of what sort of feelings it brings up for you. So those are our 3 warrior poses, warrior 1, 2 and 3. I hope that was helpful. If you like this video, please give it a like. If there are any other poses you would like to learn more about, or just get like a slower breakdown that you might not get in your classes when you go to a studio, just let me know in the comments and I can make them for you. And be sure to subscribe so you get notified when the next video comes out, and I will see you next time. Bye.